Good morning. Today's Bible reading comes from Genesis 28 through 30. Let's get into it. So Isaac called in Jacob and blessed him. Then he ordered him, "Don't take a Canaanite woman. Leave at once. Go to Padan, Aram, to the family of your mother's father, Bethuel. Get a wife for yourself from the daughters of your uncle Laban. And may the strong God bless you and give you many, many children, congregation of peoples, and pass on the blessing of Abraham to you and your descendants, so that you will get this land in which you live, this land God gave Abraham." So Isaac sent Jacob off. He went to Padan Aram to Laban, sons of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him to Padan Aram to get a wife there, and while blessing him commanded, "Don't marry a Canaanite woman," and that Jacob had obeyed his parents and God to Padan Aram. When Esau realized how deeply his father Isaac disliked the Canaanite women, he went to Ishmael and married Mahalath, the sister of Nebaioth and daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son. This was in addition to the wives he already had. Jacob left Beersheba and went to Haran, came to a certain place and camped for the night, since the sun had set. He took one of the stones there and set it under his head, and lay down to sleep. And he dreamed. A stairway was set on the ground, and it reached all the way to the sky. Angels of God were going up and down it. Then God was right before him, saying, "I am God, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. I'm giving the ground on which you are sleeping to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be as the dust of the earth. They'll stretch from west to east and from north to south. All the families of the earth will bless themselves in you and your descendants. Yes, I'll stay with you. I'll protect you wherever you go, and I'll bring you back to this very ground. I'll stick with you until I've done everything I promised you." Jacob woke up from his sleep. He said, "God is in this place, truly, and I didn't even know it." He was terrified. He whispered in awe, "Incredible, wonderful, holy. This is God's house. This is the gate of heaven." Jacob was up first thing in the morning, took the stone he had used for his pillow, and set it up as a memorial pillar, and poured oil over it. He christened the place Bethel, God's house. The name of the town had been Luz until then. Sorry about that. Jacob vowed a vow. "If God stands by me and protects me on this journey on which I am setting out, keeps me in food and clothing, and brings me back in one piece to my father's house, this God will be my God. This stone that I have set up as a memorial pillar will mark this as a place where God lives, and everything you give me, I'll return a tenth to you." Jacob set out again on his way to the people of the east. He noticed a well out in an open field with 3 flocks of sheep bedded down around it. This was the common well from which the flocks were watered. The stone over the mouth of the well was huge. When all the flocks were gathered, the shepherds would roll the stone from the well and water the sheep. Then they would return the stone covering the wells. Jacob said, "Hello, friends. Where are you from?" They said, "We are from Haran." Jacob asked, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" "We do." "Are things well with him?" Jacob continued. "Very well," they said, "and here is his own daughter, Rachel, coming with the flock." Jacob said, "There's a lot of daylight still left. Isn't it time to round up the sheep yet, is it? So why not water the flocks and go back to grazing?" "We can't," they said, "not until all the shepherds get here. It takes all of us to roll the stone from the well. Not until then can we water the flocks." While Jacob was in conversation with them, Rachel came up with her father's sheep. She was the shepherd. The moment Jacob spotted Rachel, daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, saw her arriving with his uncle Laban's sheep, he went and single-handedly rolled the stone from the mouth of the well and watered the sheep of his uncle Laban. Then he kissed Rachel and broke into tears. He told Rachel that he was related to her father and that he was Rebekah's son. She ran and told her father. When Laban heard the news, Jacob, his sister's son, he ran out to meet him, embraced and kissed him, and brought him home. Jacob told Laban the story of everything that had happened. Laban said, "Your family, my flesh and blood." When Jacob had been with him for a month, Laban said, "Just because you're my nephew, you shouldn't work for me for nothing. Tell me what you want to be paid. What's a fair wage?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. Leah was the older and Rachel the younger. Leah had nice eyes, but Rachel was stunningly beautiful. But it was Rachel that Jacob loved. So Jacob answered, "I will work for you for 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel." "It is far better," said Laban, "that I give her to you than marry her to some outsider. Yes, stay here with me." So Jacob worked 7 years for Rachel, but it only seemed like a few days. He loved her so much. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife. I've completed what we agreed I'd do. I'm ready to consummate my marriage." Laban invited everyone around and threw a big feast. At evening, though, he got his daughter Leah and brought her to the marriage bed, and Jacob slept with her. Laban had his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her maid. Morning came. There was Leah in the marriage bed. Jacob confronted him. "What have you done to me? Didn't I work all this time for the hand of Rachel? Why did you cheat me?" "We don't do it that way in our country," said Laban. "We don't marry off the younger daughter before the older. Enjoy your week of honeymoon, and then we'll give you the other one also, but it'll cost you another 7 years of work." Jacob agreed. When he completed the honeymoon week, Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maid. Jacob then slept with her, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He worked for Laban another 7 years. When God realized that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb. But Rachel was barren. Leah became pregnant and had a son for Leah. She named him Reuben. "Look, it's a boy. This is a sign," she said, "that God has seen my misery, and a sign that now my husband will love me." She became pregnant again and had another son. "God heard," she said, "that I was unloved, and so he gave me this son also." She named this one Simeon. God heard. She became pregnant again. "Another son," she said. "Now maybe my husband will connect with me. I've given him 3 sons. That's why she named him Levi, connect. She became pregnant a final time and had a 4th son. "This time I'll praise God." So she named him Judah, praise God. Then she stopped having children. When Rachel realized that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She told Jacob, "Give me sons or I'll die." Jacob got angry with Rachel and said, "Am I God? Am I the one who refused you babies?" Rachel said, "Here's my maid Bilhah, sleep with her. Let her substitute for me so I can have a child through her and build a family." So she gave him her maid Bilhah for a wife, and Jacob slept with her. Bilhah became pregnant and gave Jacob a son. Rachel said, "God took my side and vindicated me. He listened to me and gave me a son." She named him Dan, vindication. Rachel's maid Bilhah became pregnant again and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel said, "I've been in an all-out fight with my sister, and I've won." So she named him Naphtali, fight. When Leah saw that she wasn't having any more children, she gave her maid Zilpah to Jacob for a wife. Zilpah had a son for Jacob. Leah said, "How fortunate! She named him Gad, lucky. When Leah's maid Zilpah had a second son for Jacob, Leah said, "A happy day. The women will congratulate me in my happiness." So she named him Asher, happy. One day during the wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrakes in the field and brought them home to his mother Leah. Rachel asked Leah, "Could I please have some of your son's mandrakes?" Leah said, "Wasn't it enough that you got my husband away from me, and now you also want my son's mandrakes?" Rachel said, "All right, I'll let him sleep with you tonight in exchange for your son's love apples." When Jacob came home that evening from the fields, Leah was there to meet him. "Sleep with me tonight. I've bartered my son's mandrakes for a night with you." So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah. She became pregnant and gave Jacob a fifth son. She said, "God rewarded me for giving my maid to my husband." She named him Issachar, bartered. Leah became pregnant yet again and gave Jacob a sixth son, saying, "God has given me a great gift. This time my husband will honor me with gifts." I've given him 6 sons. She named him Zebulon, honor. Last of all, she had a daughter and named her Dinah. And then God remembered Rachel. God listened to her and opened her womb. She became pregnant and had a son. She said, "God has taken away my humiliation." She named him Joseph, praying, "May God add yet another son to me." After Rachel had had Joseph, Jacob spoke to Laban, "Let me go back home. Give me my wives and children for whom I've served you. You know how hard I've worked for you." Laban said, "If you please, I have learned through divine inquiry that God has blessed me because of you." He went on, "So name your wages, I'll pay you." Jacob replied, "You know well what my work has meant to you, and how your livestock have flourished under my care. The little you had when I arrived has increased greatly. Everything I did resulted in a blessing for you. Isn't it about time that I do something for my own family? So what should I pay you?" Jacob said, "You don't have to pay me a thing, but how about this? I will go back to the pasture and care for your flocks. Go through your entire flock today and take out every speckled flock today, and take out every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages. That way you can check on my honesty when you assess my wages. If you find any goat that's not speckled or spotted, or a sheep that's not black, you will know that I stole it." "Fair enough," said Laban. "It's a deal." But that very day Laban removed all the mottled, spotted billy goats and all the speckled and spotted nanny goats, every animal that had even had a touch of white on it, plus all the black sheep, and placed them under the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob. Meanwhile, Jacob went on tending what was left of Jacob's flock. But Jacob got fresh branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and peeled the bark, leaving white stripes on them. He stuck the peeled branches in front of the watering troughs, where the flocks came to drink. When the flocks were in heat, they came to drink, and mated in front of the streaked branches. Then they gave birth to young that were streaked, or spotted, or speckled. Jacob placed the ewes before the dark-colored animals of Laban. That way he got distinctive flocks for himself, which he didn't mix with Laban's flocks. And when the sturdier animals were mating, Jacob placed branches at the troughs in view of the animals so that they mated in front of the branches. But he wouldn't set up the branches before the feebler animals. That way the feeble animals went to Laban, and the sturdy ones went to Jacob. The man got richer and richer, acquiring huge flocks, lots and lots of servants, not to mention camels and donkeys. And that is it for today's Bible reading. As always, get in touch with God today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.